Juan is not with us at the moment. And Debbie, did you announce yourself?
No, Debbie Mann, Board of Trustees.
Okay, I thought Selena was there somewhere.
Yes, Selena attending as a member of the public from Legal Aid Association of California.
Are there any other members of the public on the call? Okay, so let's move through the agenda. It's a fairly light agenda. Of course, we're free to have a discussion, but I'm hoping to end this meeting by at least 11:45, maybe earlier, to give people a chance to have a break before the commission meeting. So let's move on to the approval or to any discussion, if there is any, of the action summary from the May 1st meeting. Is there any discussion on that?
Yeah, I have a correction.
Okay.
It's on the last paragraph just before adjourned. There's a statement attributed to me, and either I was misstated or I'm wrong, one or the other. But it says, unlike the decennial census, which occurs every 10 years, ask questions about citizenship. Now, that's not true. The Trump administration lost their suit with the Supreme Court. They don't ask citizenship on that decennial. It's only asked, I think the last time they asked decennial question was back in the 60s. I don't know, Herman, do you know when they asked it last? But anyways,
are you saying that was not an accurate notation of what happened at the meeting, Jim?
Yeah, I would get rid of the unlike, start with decennial census. Don't talk about citizenship, but says they basically ask about household data, number of people in the household, their gender, their age, and their ethnicity. And that's it. Doesn't ask anything about socioeconomic data. That's from the American Community Survey, where they ask things about poverty, employment, and income, which is what's important to us because the eligibility is for the poor, and the poor is defined by the American Community Survey according to the federal poverty level.
Do you have it, just to be very practical here, would you like to excise anything from the action summary?
Yeah.
Can you specifically tell us what that is? Erica, can you somebody make a note of what it is that Jim is?
Yes,
I would share a screen, but I'm concerned that we're going to throw everybody off the thing. So tell us specifically what you'd like to change, Jim.
Okay, strike unlike, say the decennial census, which occurs every 10 years, ask questions about, strike citizenship, and say households, members of household in terms of gender, ethnicity, and age. And then I put and I would leave in, and it is important for drawing congressional boundaries, comma, the American Community Survey is conducted annually in urban areas and asks for important demographic information. So that part stays fine. It's just the part about the census, citizenship, and change that to the household. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You got that?
Yes.
So do you want to make a motion, Jim, to approve the minutes with that correction, the action summary with that correction?
Yeah, I make a motion with such changes.
I'll second it.
Iskin?
Yes.
Mcloggy?
Yes.
Bell's Fightmaster?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
DeBose?
Yes.
Delfino?
Yes.
Friedman? Friedman?
Corey, you're on mute. There you go.
Sorry, abstain, please.
Mann?
Yes.
Meeker?
Yes.
Myers? Landhold?
I think he sent a message saying yes to the minutes.
Okay, thank you. And Savage?
Abstain.
The motion passes.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so the next item, I believe, is a ADJOURN report, right? This is a report on the outcome of some monitoring visits.
Yes.
So why don't we skip that and move on to the decision items. Erica, are you able to handle the real property purchase capital additions requests?
Yes.
Why don't you go through that for us?
Thanks. So just to recap, I know we've talked about this at the last few meetings. This is the culmination of the process that started with budget approval back in November. So when organizations submitted their budget proposals this year, several of them had requested to make real property purchases or capital additions with their IOLTA funds. Given the increase in IOLTA funding that was anticipated for this year, and seeing it as a one-time increase, a lot of organizations wanted to use the money to make office improvements or pay down their mortgages. And at the time during the budget process, we hadn't requested organizations to provide documentation for those purchases. And so we gave them until the end of the first quarter to provide the documentation to support those requests. When the committee met in November, these budgets were already conditionally approved. We were just waiting on the documentation to come through to finalize those budgets. So at the last meeting in May, there were 8 budgets that were conditionally approved. 2 organizations submitted documentation, CRLA and Disability Rights California. And then 2 organizations at that point had withdrawn their requests to make real property purchases. So that left 4 more organizations, which we're addressing at this meeting. By this point, 3 have submitted their documentation, and 1, which is Neighborhood Legal Services, has withdrawn their request to make a real property purchase. They felt the need to shift funding to things like laptops because they are working in a remote environment at this point. So the 3 that came in were Greater Bakersfield Legal Assistance. They had originally allocated $415,000 of their IOLTA funds to paying down part of their mortgage and doing construction in their office. They have since revised their budget, but they still want to pay down the mortgage. So they submitted an amortization schedule that shows how much of their mortgage that will be paid. I believe it's about 74% of the remaining balance on their mortgage. And
Somebody, hang on for a second. Somebody's got a phone going in the background. Could you mute yourself?
I see them.
There you go. Okay. Sorry, Erica.
No worries.
Go ahead.
And just really quickly, I just wanted to let you know, Eric and Erica, that Dwan is on as well.
I see that.
Okay.
That's great.
I'm 510295.
Thanks.
Well, they need to let me in, I think. I can't even hear them. Maybe it's my sound.
We can
Juan,
hear
we can hear you.
now.
For you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Technology. Okay. Okay, it worked, Vicky.
I think your screen's just covered. That's all.
My I can't get it. My camera. The camera is on backwards now.
Okay.
How do I switch it over, Kim? I mean, Vicky. Vicky, the camera.
That I don't know.
Hey, Dwan.
The screen?
Yeah.
Dwan.
I'm texting
Yeah.
her, Eric. Dwan, you may want to mute yourself.
There you go. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Keep slugging on there, Erica.
Eric, this is Kim. Bob Planho has his hand up, his hand raised.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that. Oh,
Bob,
Bob, do you want to be recognized?
I guess he changed his mind.
He's left a message saying that somehow we need to unmute him. And I'm not sure, I don't
We
know
need
how
to unmute him.
but that's a chat that he sent earlier.
Okay. I'm not the host, so Eric, are you a host of this thing?
Yeah.
I
He
am.
needs to be invited in.
Yeah, right.
Who is the host of this meeting, technically?
That would be me, and I already invited him in. I don't understand why he still can't speak.
Okay.
Oh, okay, well.
I'll work on it.
Okay.
Oh, wow, okay.
These poor organizations just want to pay their mortgage.
Yeah. So, right.
We got you, Erica. Keep going.
Greater Bakersfield, yeah, legal assistance. So they submitted their amortization schedule and an explanation that they would be able to pay off the rest of their mortgage within the next 4 years. If you looked at the amortization schedule, it basically looked like a balloon mortgage, and this payment would help them avoid that major expense at the end. And they indicated that this would free up their other funds to direct more funding towards client services. So we recommended approval, given the documentation that they submitted, that this was an appropriate allocation to their mortgage payoff. The other two were Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles, which allocated a little more than $345,000 to construction costs and assessment and design for their East Los Angeles office, which they're doing a complete redesign package for. And they submitted basically copies of all of their contracts and the rationale for budgeting all those costs to the redesign package. And we also recommended that they be approved. They indicated that they would exhaust all of the funds that they've allocated by the end of the year before entering the next phase of actual construction. And then the last one was Legal Services of Northern California, which also allocated $350,000 to its mortgage payoff. They indicated that their space is currently shared with Voluntary Legal Services of Northern California, but that by the end of the summer, they will be the sole occupant and owner of the building if they are approved for their mortgage payoff. And they submitted mortgage statements that showed the principal and balance that's left. And I believe it would be a complete payoff of their mortgage. So one thing I wanted to mention was that some of the organizations had affirmatively passed a resolution by their board saying that they were only going to be using this funding for the purposes listed under the IOLTA statute. That's not something that we have required every organization to do, because they already every year in their application submit a certificate of assurances that they will be using IOLTA funds for those purposes. But I did want to bring it to the committee's attention that if that's something that the committee wants, is a separate assurance that these particular funds for the real property purchases are only going to be used to help with their operating expenses and not used as something like an endowment or investment. That is something that the committee can request from these organizations. But staff would recommend that that's not necessary, but it is an option.
You guys are satisfied that they're using the money to pay down the mortgages, and you're recommending that we approve all three of these requests? Yes.
And these are the last three organizations that fall under that conditional approval for their budgets. As I said, NLS will no longer be devoting that money to a real property purchase, and so staff is going to review their revised budget, and we will either approve it if it falls under the parameters where we can approve the budget, or we'll bring it back to the next committee meeting for the committee to approve.
Hey, Erica and Dawn, I just wanted to quickly interrupt because I don't remember if an official announcement was made, but I know that I think starting today, we're officially recording the audio portion of this meeting. So I just wanted to make that announcement. And I don't know if either of you wants to add anything to that.
Okay, thank you. So we're just recording the audio, Greg, not the video?
It's the audio.
This is Dawn here, and I think that you guys didn't do the housekeeping, go through the housekeeping items. Should we take a pause and go through all so the meeting is in order? Kim, Erica, have you guys gone through the housekeeping?
I'm sorry, Dawn, I'm not understanding what you're asking.
Because I only joined the meeting 20 minutes in, and I was just told by text by somebody else that you guys didn't go through the housekeeping items, like what to do on Zoom, and that it's recorded all the.
No, all right, go. We did not do that. So if you think can we finish this item first, and then, or do you think we need to do that before we take a vote?
Well, you should have done that at the beginning, but okay, that's fine. Just you can finish it then.
Eric, there are just certain things that are happening right now that I think are important for Duan to speak to the housekeeping.
All right, go ahead, Duan.
For example, the chats that are happening.
All right, go ahead, Duan, go ahead.
Well, it's Erica and Kim, actually.
Yes, sorry, I was dealing with troubleshooting problems is why I missed that, and that's my error. I'm sorry. This is welcome to the Services Trust Fund Eligibility and Budget Committee meeting. We are using Zoom as a goal to foster a more inclusive and environment and effective meeting. If you would like to comment during the meeting, please indicate to the chair by using your name or I have a comment or the raised hand. In an effort for transparency, those joining this meeting, public members, whether by phone, by Zoom, we request that you refrain from having side conversations on chat about the content of the meeting. Again, the chat feature is to utilize simply as a tool for you to virtually indicate that you would like to speak in order to help the chair facilitate the discussion. And as Greg Chin mentioned, the meeting is being recorded. Some troubleshooting tips for those joining using Zoom on the computer. When on mute, holding down the space bar will temporarily unmute. If you are using your phone to dial into the meeting, please be sure that your phone microphone is on mute to avoid audio feedback. And lastly, while joining the audio via computer, it's highly recommended that if an individual loses audio, they can call in separately using the Zoom conference call number.
And this is Dawn again. Just to reiterate, to follow up on the email that I sent to the larger trust fund commission meeting, the new change, major change to our meetings moving forward is the meetings will be recorded and posted then on the State Bar's website. And Eric, Debbie has her hand raised.
Yeah.
I have a comment about what Erica just presented. So I don't know if we're back there yet or not. On the property, people using money for the. So are we there back? Are we finished with the housekeeping?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. The only thing I wanted to say about the legal services in Northern California, that was one of the organizations I was able to visit with Helen Hong, and we talked about when we were there with them. They were talking about could they use money to for their property needs, and we had encouraged them to do that at this time. So I'm happy to see them doing this now. So that was all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Duan, did we finish up the housekeeping? Did we do what we needed to do there?
I think Zahara
Yes.
had her hand up as well.
I'm not seeing the hands up. I don't know why. But go ahead, Zahara.
Thank you. So I had 3 questions with respect to this item. The first question is, what happens if it's not approved for use of the property? Expenses that they're asking for, what otherwise happens to the funding? And then for Legal Aid of Foundation of Los Angeles, what they seem to be asking for is pre-development funding. And so how often do we give out pre-development funding? And then to the question earlier with respect to getting some sort of resolution from the board that these resources will be used for the purposes in which they've been specifically kind of stated that they would be used. I think it's helpful. And so that would be my thoughts on that. But I'm curious about the answers to the other 2 questions. Thank you.
I could take them, Erica. So to answer your first question about if we do not approve it, if you don't approve it today, then what happens is that funding, we would ask the organization to revise their budget. And if it falls within kind of thresholds that staff has the authority to approve, then we would just go ahead and approve them. If they're requesting something that deviates from what staff has authority to approve, then we would again elevate it to the Eligibility Budget Review Committee to you again for review. But just as a reminder, and I think Erica probably already reminded you that you've technically already pre-approved these. This is just a documentation to make sure that what they're saying is what they're saying is being done. But you've already had the substantive discussion for these items in November.
Did you want to answer
And
the other two questions as well?
what was the second question? I'm sorry.
The question was about pre-development. So the LAFLA request looks like it's for pre-development, not construction or paying off a mortgage. And so how often do we fund that in terms of pre-development resources?
Well, not often. And I think as Erica mentioned before, this policy has been in existence for a number of years, but it was only with this last cycle that programs actually were requesting the purchase of real property, anything related, renovation costs and pre-development because of the increase in IOLTA funding. So this is a novel year that this is being kind of tested out. So all of these, the purchase of real property, renovations, this is being brought before the commission. I'm hesitant to say for the first time, but at least in recent memory, the last 5-10 years.
Thank you. That's really helpful. And I understand your piece in terms of process and the prior approval. The one note I would say is just in terms of in the future, in terms of pre-development, if there's a way to just sort of like outline the differences of what's being requested, because from different aspects, pre-development just is functionally a very different thing in terms of what's funded, versus actually funding the construction or funding the payoff of a mortgage. So thank you.
And that's a really good point. And, this whole policy, I think we're going to have to revisit it in codification. The way it's written, I don't know if folks have had a chance to look at it. The language is really convoluted. It's hard for both programs and staff to decipher what the requirements are. And I think some of it is outdated. So I think when we look through codification, Zahira, maybe it's something that you can help work on if you have a little bit of background, because I think those distinctions are really important.
Did you want to comment on I think you also had a question about the board resolution?
So
right,
would you,
Zahira? Did I hear that correctly? You had a third question as well.
That was more of a comment. So I think when Erica was kind of going through her discussion, she talked about how for some of the organizations, the board maybe did a resolution or something else with respect to use of the resources, saying that the resources would be used in the way that they were, I think maybe you said consistent with IOLTA, but I also just wonder in terms of consistent with the way it's outlined with respect to use of funding with respect to the property. And I wonder, especially given the fact that we don't typically fund in this way, whether there is kind of value in having board resolutions that if we're funding for something like paying off a mortgage or construction or pre-development, that the board is resolving that they will use the resources as mandated or dictated by the grant. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions or discussion?
Did I see Bob put a message up saying something about page 264?
That was actually Pam.
Oh,
So, but does that connect with with attachment A? That kind of gives a breakdown for all of the programs. And there's more than one reference to see attachment D. Attachment D was the Wells Fargo statement.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wondered if this was applied to more than one organization, or was this a misprint?
It should only apply to Legal Services of Northern California. So if it's referenced more than once, then I apologize. That would be.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Pam.
Okay.
Are there any other comments or questions? Do I hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Who made that motion? Sorry.
Bob Planthold.
Thanks, Bob. Any second?
second.
Thanks, Herman.
I'll take roll. Iskin?
Yes.
Oklagi?
Yes.
Bales Fightmaster?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Connolly?
Yes.
DeBose?
Yes.
Delfino?
Yes.
Friedman?
Yes.
Mann?
Yes.
Meeker?
Yes.
Myers? Landholt?
Yes.
And Savage. think Kim had to get off.
Yeah.
Okay. The motion passes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so let's move on to, I think, Dwan, you were going to give us an was it Dwan or Erica? I'm not sure. Somebody's going to give us an update on the 2021 IELTA EAF applications that were filed in June. Dwan, is that you? Did we lose her?
I think she was going to start it out.
Okay, well, you may be the victim of technical difficulties again. Erica, do you want to do that, or do you want to move on to the audit extension request, and then we could double back to the...
It looked like Dwan stepped away from her.
Oh, there you
phone,
are.
but
There we
she's
are. Hey,
back.
Dwan, we're up to you. The update on the applications. You're muted. Dwan, you're muted. There you... I got to unmute you. There you go.
Which agenda item are we on?
We're on C, 4C.
Is that the update for, are we
Yes.
going back to the monitoring visit? Okay. So we wanted to just quickly update you because usually when we go on monitoring visits, we don't share the findings with the committee unless there are substantive issues. So we wanted to keep you apprised because there were 2 monitoring visits that we went on in 2019 that had substantive issues that what we would suggest, I'll share with you what were the findings, but to roll it into their application review.
So Dwan, let me just correct. So I think we thought we were on 4C, but looks like you're jumping back to 4A, but that's fine. You're
I'm
giving
sorry,
us
I
an
thought you wanted
update.
the monitoring visit.
That's okay. Go ahead and do that. Go ahead
Okay.
and do that.
So the first organization is California Rural Legal Assistance. There are a number of programmatic findings on the monitoring visits, including increasing diversity in their governance, outreach to a broader constituency, and higher wages for staff. And also, they needed to take corrective actions on their governance and communication issues. But more importantly, we had some serious fiscal findings on the monitoring visit letter. Including cost allocations, bank reconciliations, and handling of cash receipts. We also discovered on that monitoring visit that they had misallocated our bank grant funds. So since then, they returned the funding, a portion of their bank grant fund to us. And they've also responded to that monitoring visit letter, saying that they're in the process of creating some protocols and some processes. So staff does feel satisfied with the response to the fiscal monitoring visit. However, we do note that a few years ago, they had some findings in their audit. So this upcoming IELTA EF application, we will be looking pretty closely at their application and their audit, and we'll report back if there are any other serious findings for you. The other organization is Inland Empire Latino Lawyers Association. They're based in the Inland Empire. There are also some programmatic findings concerning staff's roles in attorney oversight, the frequency of their board meetings, and staff performance. The organization's response did address those programmatic findings, but the fiscal response to the findings were a little bit less specific. The fiscal findings included a dormant bank account, dual operating bank accounts, and a fiscal policy on minimum wage that's inconsistent with California law. So the monitoring response didn't really address that on point. What we suggest, though, is let us look at the IELTA and EF application and roll it back to you and see if there are any other issues with their application. And most likely, though, even if there aren't, the staff is inclined to suggest an eligibility review conference at this time. But for now, we suggest to put a pin in it, and we'll roll back to you in July 10th at the next meeting, if that sounds comfortable.
What was the issue with the minimum wage inconsistency with California law?
I don't believe that they were paying at the wage that they should be. Is that, Erica, do you know off the top of your head that was what the issue is?
Yeah, that was
exactly.
my understanding.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions? So your recommendation is put a pin in it, and we'll keep reviewing
Yeah.
what they're doing in connection
You know,
with the current
in the past, yeah. And in the past, we didn't bring to this committee serious findings from the fiscal monitoring visits, but in the past few years, we have had more concerning issues. So we'd like to kind of make this a practice to bring to you substantive issues so that it can be decided whether there's an eligibility issue or not.
Okay, unless there are further comments, let's move on to item 4C, the update on the 2021 IALTA EAF applications.
Okay, so I have a PowerPoint to share. Let me pull it up and then the Erica, can you give me presenter power?
Presenter power, I haven't heard it quite framed that way.
You've got to share a screen.
So I have the PowerPoint up, so just let me know when you can see my screen.
You have to share it?
Says that you should be able to.
Okay, do I need to
screen?
I don't see anything to click, Erica.
If you scroll over the bottom, the bar should come up. That says, it has your audio settings and share screen option.
Did it work now? Okay, it's actually saying the browser is preventing access. You know, Erica, why I'm just having tech. It's not my day for tech. Well, Erica, why don't you have the PowerPoint? You just share it, and I'll run through it.
Eric, can you hear us?
Is she frozen?
I think she's frozen.
Poor thing. There she went. She moved. Okay. Okay.
There we go. Okay.
Okay, great. So Erica and I are going to present this item together. We wanted to go through kind of the application review process since there are some new members to the committee. We do want to note, though, this is a very short application review period because we gave programs a month to an additional month to complete their application. So originally the intent was this meeting would have been just kind of a not really a substantive issue meeting. It would just be to talk about the process, and the July 10th meeting would be the more substantive and go through all the eligibility issues. But we're gonna have to redesign the process a little bit this year because we were flexible with programs. It does cut into our review period, and so we ask for your patience and flexibility as we'll need to schedule a few more committee meetings this cycle. Next slide, Erica. So we'll go over an overview of the 2020 applications, the governing authorities that will help us in our review period, why we reviewed the application, and then we'll go through the two substantive items for your consideration today, which is the submission of late applications, as well as the submission, the request to submit late audited or financial review statements. We'll talk about a little bit what we need to do with the July 10th meeting, as well as eligibility review conferences. Next slide. So as you know from the memo, we received 106 applications this cycle for IALTA and EEF. We administer the IALTA and EEF grants under one application. However, they are two separate grants. As you all know, the Equal Access Fund grants, we administer that on behalf of the Judicial Council. The Judicial Council, they get a piece of the state budget funding every year, and within that budget trailer language, there's a provision that says that EF grants have to go out similarly as IALTA grants. So I would say the vast majority of the requirements are similar, and at least at the eligibility phase that we're in right now, they are identical. We get some differences when we move into the budget review stage, and that's in a few months, and there are just a few differences there that we'll point out once we get there. But at least at the eligibility, they are identical requirements, and that's why we review them in one swoop. We received 99 renewal applications. We call applications, but technically, you know, our IALTA and EF grants are one-year grants, so everybody is applying again, even though they've already been funded previously. We received 7 new applicants. All 7 of these applicants are applying as a qualified legal services project. I was mentioning to Eric and Bonachet earlier that 7 new applicants is a lot for our program. The last few years, as interest rates were rising, we were receiving anywhere from 2 to 4 new applicants. So 7 is it's a little bit heavy lifting on our side. And as you'll see, usually with new applicants, there are novel issues that present itself or just some difficulties with them. So a lot of the new applicants will require an eligibility review conference. Of the 106 applicants, there are 84 QSPs and there are 22 support centers. There was potentially 1 additional support center application this year, but they decided not to apply. So it's just our 22 remaining support centers are reapplying this year. Next slide. Here are governing authorities that you all are familiar with. The first one is the California Business and Professions Code, section 6210 to 6228, followed by the state bar rules, followed by guidelines that were promulgated by our offices. There's a set for legal service for our qualified legal services projects, another set for support centers, and also separately standards for financial management systems and audits. You can find all of these governing authorities on the homepage of Smart Simple. And you should all have a login to Smart Simple that you'll need to use pretty heavily this review cycle in order to go in and access grant applications, evaluations. There's just a lot of information on there. If you have technical difficulties logging on to Smart Simple or need a little bit help navigating to where things are, feel free to reach out to Kim Wormsley, Erica, or myself, and we're happy to walk you through that. What we're also going to do this cycle that we haven't done before is we're going to upload all our materials to OneDrive link, and we do this for codification, the rules committee, and we'll include the governing authorities in its own kind of folder, as well as all the meeting materials for our meeting so that you can go in and have it at your fingertips. So just a really brief glance at our application review timeline, just so you have a sense of what the work looks like the next few months. So applications were due not too long ago, 2 weeks ago, on June 15th. And that, like I mentioned, that application due date was moved from May 15th to June 15th to allow programs a little bit more time to get in their applications because of the shelter-in-place orders and them moving their services remotely. We're now at that June 26th. This is the very first Eligibility and Budget Review Committee meeting of this review of the season. And like I mentioned before, we're going to be approving the late audits and application. We have another meeting scheduled on July 10th. Normally that July 10th meeting would have been to handle, kind of discuss all the eligibility issue meetings. However, we're going to have to split that meeting to 2 because it's not quite enough time for staff to review 100 applications by the July 10th meeting. So we've already started to review the applications, and we've tried to prioritize the applications that we think might need a little bit more time, and also do a sweep of the new applicants. So we like to still have that July 10th meeting, but instead of a 10 to 4 meeting, which is what's planned, maybe it'll be a 10 to 2 meeting if you're agreeable, so that we could talk about some of the issues that emerge. So we'd like to bifurcate that meeting into a July 10th meeting, and then hopefully be able to then schedule another late July meeting to talk about a lot of the other eligibility issues that will come across in the remainder of the staff's review. Because we're a little bit on a little expedited, shortened time period, after the July 10th meeting, this committee will need to determine which programs will be moved to an eligibility review conference that will then be scheduled late July, early August. But we'll have to roll back again to the committee to discuss kind of the findings of those eligibility review conference. So in addition to the July meeting, we'll need to schedule another early August meeting. And what we're working towards is approval of eligibility at the August 14th a trust fund commission meeting. So as you can imagine, we have a big workload in front of us to get towards that August 14th meeting. This is a timeline of then once eligibility is determined, once this committee makes a recommendation to the larger trust fund commission of which programs are eligible for funding and which programs are not eligible for funding. The staff, we have about 2 weeks to then go and run the IALTA formula to determine the grant awards for the programs. It's a little bit of heavy lifting on our end because, as you know, the award is, the formula is very technical. We do have a program that automates and runs it for us. However, there is a lot of spot checking to make sure that the numbers are correct and that all the county allocations are correct. So that takes us a good 2 weeks to do. We then release the grant allocations to the programs on August 21st. And they have, per state bar rules, up to 30 days to submit that budget back to us. So from September 21st until the October 28th meeting, staff is very busy reviewing those budget applications for you. And then the cycle starts again for the committee, which the August 28th meeting, we then have the first committee meeting to discuss any budget related issues. Normally at the budget stage, there aren't as many issues that present themselves as there are at the eligibility phase. So we have a placeholder meeting. In some years, we've been able to cancel it. But you know, we have the standing meeting in case there are novel issues or issues that we can't resolve. Then there's a meeting that's scheduled before the November 13th meeting, before the larger Legal Services Trust Fund Commission meeting on November 13th to resolve any issues. And then we bring our recommendation to the larger Legal Services Trust Fund Commission meeting, who then approves the grant awards. And then we work feverishly on our end to cut checks on time so that programs we can get it sometime in January. So the purpose of the IALTA and EF application review, it's for primarily 3 purposes. So we need to verify that the programs meet the threshold primary purpose test. And there's a primary purpose requirement in order to be a qualified legal services project, and a separate one for a support center. So that's threshold that they qualify for IALTA and EF grants. The second, equally important, is that we need to determine that they've reported their qualified expenditures correctly in their previous fiscal year. And the reason why that's important, in particular for QSPs, because as you know, what they claim as their qualified expenditures in the previous fiscal year in the county that they're doing work, it will determine their grant award. So every program is entitled to a pro rata share within a certain county based on the number of qualified expenditures that they report. So that number has to be fairly accurate because it not only impacts their grant award, it will impact their neighbor's grant award. So we definitely need to firm up and make sure that that number is correct. So there will be a number of issues that will be coming to this committee of whether they've counted their qualified expenditures right, whether a certain activity is appropriate, and that's the reason why we need to get to that number, that correct number. And thirdly, we need to be assured that they have adequate quality controls. So there are some questions on our application that get to this issue. A lot of this issue, though, is usually dealt with during monitoring visit or comes from monitoring visit. And so that's why we flag the CRLA NIL issue for you, because they do have some quality control issues that will make us look at the application a little bit more closely. So just really high level in terms of the primary purpose requirement, and this is under Business and Professions Code 6213. And I encourage everyone to actually take a really close look at section 6213. It says that in order to qualify as a QSP, the nonprofit has to be incorporated and operated exclusively in California, and that provides as its primary purpose and function legal services without charge to indigent persons, and that has quality control procedures approved by the State Bar of California. So this is really like the heart of the IOLTA statute and what they have to pass in order to qualify for our funding. We will unpack kind of all the nuances of this particular part of the statute in our next meeting. But just know that as a threshold, they need to pass the primary purpose test. And the statute has a really specific definition of indigent persons, and that is somebody that's 125% or below of the federal poverty threshold. And then what we interpret as well from this subsection of the statute is a person that's 60 or above, a senior, or a person with a developmental disability. If a program also applies for a pro bono allocation and receives a pro bono allocation, they are allowed to use a higher income threshold that we can talk about at a later meeting. Next slide. And this is the primary purpose requirement for a support center. So it's a nonprofit that has its primary purpose and function provision of legal training, legal technical assistance, or advocacy support without charge, and which actually provides through an office in California a significant level of legal training, legal TA, or advocacy support without charge to our QSP projects on a statewide basis. So as you can see, the support centers are a very kind of different organization than a QSP. They really are what they're called, support centers. They provide support services to our QSP community and to the broader legal aid community in general. They don't normally provide the direct services to the clients. Those are our field programs, the QSPs. But in some instances, they do co-counsel with our QSP on impact work. Next slide. There's a state bar rule that says for qualified expenditures, if a QSP in a support center has at least 75% or more of their expenditures in the previous year were for the provision of free legal services for the indigent, or in the case of support centers, support services for our QSP community, then they have a presumption of meeting the primary purpose test. So how this actually plays, staff will provide you with a list of programs that dip below that 75%, and you'll take a closer look to see if they qualify. There's been office practice that if a program is below 50%, the committee and the commission does not find that program qualifying. If they're between 50 and 75%, then the commission has typically found that organization qualifying. Next slide. Okay, I'll turn it over to Erica now.
Thank you. So the two issues that we're going to be addressing today are the late applications that came in and then auto extension requests. So as noted in the memo, under the state bar rules, organizations need to submit timely and complete applications. And when we looked at the submission timeline, there were 3 applications that came in late. These are the 3 organizations and the timestamps for when they submitted a final and complete application. So Justice and Diversity Center of the Bar Association of San Francisco, Senior Citizens Legal Services, and Inland Empire Latino Lawyers Association. As you can see from the timestamp, all 3 of them were submitted within an hour and a half of the deadline, which was 5 p.m. on June 15th. So staff is recommending that the committee accept the late submission of these applications. But we did note that though it was only 30 minutes late, Senior Citizens Legal Services, this is the 2nd year in a row that they submitted a late application. So,
should we pause on that for a minute? Have you finished that late applications discussion, Erica?
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so all I was going to say is that we didn't view these as very egregious late submissions. It wasn't several days late, it was within a couple hours, but so that's why we're recommending that the committee accept the late applications.
Is there any discussion on that issue by committee members?
Has this been a pattern? Like, I think you just said that senior did the same thing last year.
Yes, they did last year. Dawn can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding was that their submission was very delayed, I think by several days, not by 30 minutes. So
What happened to them last year when they were late?
And Herman, this is the organization that came back on appeal. We had found them originally not eligible for ILT-EF funding. They came back on appeal with some additional documentation, and then the commission then found them, then accepted both their late audit as well as their late application because they viewed it as extraordinary circumstances. So we did fund them.
Yeah, Herman, you may remember this was the organization where the director had some very significant mental health issues and other issues. This was the least of their problems. They submitted an audit way late. They had all kinds of delinquencies, but we did decide to have an eligibility conference and to approve their application and to keep them on a kind of close monitoring watch.
But if you kept them on a close monitoring watch, they still were late.
Yep, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. I mean, and they did it last year also, right? They were late last year.
And that's why we're noting it for you because of, because this is a pattern with this program. And they were reminded at different junctures throughout this year that the application would be due and this would be the date. And this is why, that we're noting it, that it's late again.
Is the other two organizations, is this the first time they were late?
The first time in our recent memory, but we didn't go back and do a historical sweep.
Okay, all right, thanks.
But they don't have a pattern of being late, if that's what you're asking, at least for the IELTS-EF application.
Are there any other comments or questions?
I have a comment on the issue of tardiness, and then a general comment that can wait until after this presentation. With respect to senior citizens and the other two, I don't think that a few minutes late, given the circumstances of the day, with the financial issues, the potential staff issues, that a few minutes is really egregious. I understand about senior citizens and that we are watching closely, and the fact that I know that they're working closely as well with staff. So I think we may not want to be as hard on them right now for 29 minutes. It's just my comment.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah, can I make a comment, please?
Sure, sure.
Did they give any explanation or did you have any communication with them up to the date of their submission? In other words, were they saying we're having trouble getting this information or we're on top of it, or what did it just, was it silence and then it came in 20 minutes?
We've been having communications with them because we have to schedule a mid-year report with them. And actually Greg, who's on the line right now, is the staff point person for this particular organization. So there have been kind of follow-up with them. Dan and there's Kim and Erica were on a follow-up call with them, I think in February, where we reminded them that the application would be due. We sent a letter to the board and the executive director saying the application would be due. I don't know if in the upcoming weeks, we reach out to them specifically, but in our office, we do have a practice to remind programs. So we send out reminder notifications through email the week before, the day of, when the application is released. So there are at least 3 or 4, if not more, communications from our office to all our grantees about the application deadline.
Thanks. I don't think it's deadly. I know that we worked with them last year, so we'll just kind of see what happens, but yeah.
I also agree with Bonifay's comments that, senior citizens has issues. We need to look at their application carefully, but I certainly wouldn't throw them out for being 29 minutes late.
I agree with that too.
Any other comments? We have a motion to approve the staff's recommendation to accept these applications.
And I'll second. And just to let you guys know, the screen is still sharing.
Thanks. I'm sorry, who moved?
Bob Planthold.
Thank you, Bob.
And I seconded.
Thank you. Iskin?
Yes.
Oklagi,
Yes.
Bales Fightmaster,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Connolly,
Yes.
DeBose,
Yes.
Delfino,
Yes.
Friedman,
Yes.
Mann,
Yes.
Meeker,
Yes.
Myers, Planhold,
Yes.
and Savage. The motion passes.
Okay. Eric, are you going to cover the late audit extension requests?
Yes.
Go for it.
Thank you. So also as part of a timely and complete application, an audit from the prior fiscal year is required as part of the application. And we received several extension requests this year. Most of them, so staff can approve an extension up to the date of the deadline for the application. So any requests that we received through June 15th, staff already approved. But we did inform grantees or applicants that if they wish to have an extension beyond that date, that the committee was going to have to review those requests. Several of them informed us that, especially the ones with fiscal years ending at the end of December, that due to COVID, they were unable to complete their audits or their financial reviews on time. And the difference between the audit and the financial review is just that organizations with corporate expenditures of 500,000 or less can do a financial review, and those above that would require an audit. But they serve similar functions. And so we received, as you can see, several requests for an extension varying between, from shortly after the June 15th application date up through August 1st. Having reviewed the explanations that were included with the memo, like I said, most of them were related to COVID and the inability to access files or to bring in auditors to fully review their records. So most organizations actually already had draft audits by the time that they submitted their application, but they hadn't been finalized or approved by their board. Others are still in the process, but as Dawn mentioned, in order for us to run an allocation, we do need these audits to be submitted in order to check qualified expenditures. And so what we are recommending is that the committee approve extensions up to and including August 1st in order to provide staff enough time to prepare for the Eligibility and Budget Review Committee in August. And we didn't have any major concerns about these extension requests, but the reason we're recommending that the committee approve just up through August 1st is most of these organizations have indicated that they can get it to us sooner, but in the event that there are further delays, rather than having to bring it back to the committee, that this would allow organizations that flexibility in case they run into any other obstacles.
And I'd like to add one additional comment that, if the audits come in August 1st and everything is just confirming their numbers, then it'll be easy for us. In the event that the audit comes through and there's substantial issues or there are findings in the audit, it is going to pose a little bit of a challenge in terms of us meeting the August 14th deadline. But staff, we did go back and forth on what the appropriate extension deadline should be, and we thought even with that, August 1st seems reasonable. But I do have to note that if there are significant issues with the audit, this committee will need to convene pretty quickly with the kind of a path forward.
Can I ask a staffing question, Tuan?
Of course.
I guess there's two things. One, are you, given that you clearly have a lot of work to do in the next few months, are you guys going to be subject to furloughs like other state employees is the first question. And then I did note, as you pointed out, the unusually large number of new applicants. And I know that is also often a big lift. And given that they may have applied in part because of the dollar amounts distributed last year, whether you've spoken to them since the economic situation changed and or whether you're planning to speak to them after today's full commission meeting to see if they're still going to be seeking that the funds or not.
So to answer your first question, we've been told that the state furlough doesn't impact our office since we're quasi-government, and our funding is from the fees bill, and then for our particular office, the grant side at least, we're funded through the IELTS revenue. So I imagine if at some point if the economy is still not well, it might impact the state bar, but I've been told at least for this year that we won't be impacted by that 10% across the board cut. Next year we'll see, but I think at least for now, and I would imagine that if there are some cuts at the state bar, our department wouldn't be immune just because we're somewhat self-funded. But right now there hasn't been any indication of that. And what was your second question was about, in terms of communicating with the new programs. Yes, we've been very transparent with the new programs that IELTS revenue, have dropped in some instances because we noticed that their qualified expenditures were really low. We did tell them that I think a lot of new programs don't understand how our funding system works, and they think that we're more like a foundation where they qualify for a grant and they ask for a certain amount. They don't realize that it's based on the money they've spent in the previous year. So when we notice that their qualified expenditure or their expenditures in general are low, we do have a conversation with them to say that, hey, our funding requirements are heavy. Your award may be very small, but then we leave it up to them to decide whether it's worth it to apply for our funding or not. But at some point, and perhaps the best place is in the Rules Codification Committee, is to kind of really think about whether we should put kind of a threshold minimum for our grants, because for us, it kind of doesn't make sense to process these applications and for programs we think to go through our reporting requirements when the grant is only $5,000 or $10,000. But because there's no rule like that now, we review any application for any amount that comes through.
Yeah, I think that is something worth discussing at some point. Thank you. And I'm glad you guys are escaping the furloughs. I'm not.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Hey, Bonifay, did you want to make a? I'm sorry, Corey. Did you get your questions answered?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So Bonifay, you had a comment as well.
I have a comment as well, but now I also have a question on the screen on the slide that's before us very quickly. So two things. One is the August 1st kind of deadline, the extension. I see that the Center for Human Rights and Constitutional Law Foundation is not giving us a date. Have you guys gotten anything since the last time you created this slide?
Yes, we did get an update, and they anticipate to be able to submit it by July 30th.
Okay, great. Thank you.
July 15th, excuse me, sorry.
So before the 1st. And then something that Dwan said in terms of should the audits not come back, should they come back with any problems, and then that could extend things out. What do you think then in terms of the timing that you have? How soon would you, what would need to happen? Are we just going to have an additional meeting on those issues? Is that what you're thinking? Or
I think our best guess is let's just wait and see, and hopefully it doesn't come to that. We, like Erica was saying, we can't run the allocation, the formula, because it has to be run at the same time for all the programs. So there's a technical difficulty in that we can't process, say, 95 applications and leave the other 5. There's a state bar rule that also says that, the commission has the authority to grant extensions up until the time we run the allocation. So we have calendared the allocation to be run in that period that I mentioned, the September period. There is some flexibility in moving it, but it definitely does move back our whole calendar. And as you can see, it's kind of a domino effect because eligibility, allocation, then, they have to do their budgets, then we approve it. So it pushed things back. I mean, and I don't think any of us want to delay the checks for grantees in January, but it's the really, really tight timeline. And it was already a tight timeline even before giving programs the month extension. It was always heavy lifting on the department as well as the commission during this time. Now that we're shrinking it by another month, it's going to be doubly hard. So I don't know. I think our best recommendation is to wait and see whether there's going to be any big issues, and hope that there's not. And if there are, then I think we have to just adjust course at that point.
Well, what comes to mind is, and if should we vote in the commission meeting in a little bit here for cuts, then there would be even additional work on top of what you're just describing.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So something that we'll discuss there. But so my comment was, first and foremost, staff, thank you so much for the PowerPoint that you just went through, especially Duan, that you just went through in terms of kind of the overview of what we're doing here in this subcommittee. This is a heavy lift in the subcommittee, just for us to all know, but then a heavy lift with everything that is now before us, heavier with everything before us. So with that said, I'm wondering, Duan, could you share the PowerPoint that you just had? I don't know if that would serve the rest of the folks that are here as we're going forward, as well as the timeline. So because we're, the last time we all spoke, we spoke about the fact that we were going to roll up our sleeves and really be in support of the staff. So if we could kind of partner with you and know that timing as well. And then just really a highlight gratitude sending out to Kim Savage and Corey for coming in and supporting. Just to let you guys know, Eric and Duan and myself reached out and asked for their support sooner than later. Kim had been on the eligibility subcommittee, budget review subcommittee for 9 years, 8 years. She's back, she could tell us. So we really are getting a good pair of hands there, expert hands with her. And Corey being on the commission, I think before the commission was even brought together. How long have you been here, Corey? I don't know. So we're really getting a good support in the two of them. So I just wanted to thank them from my vantage point as well. And thank you for circulating and creating this for all of us.
Well, and I had one question on the chart. It looks like a couple organizations promised to submit by 6/19, which is now passed. Legal Services of Northern California and Voluntary Legal Services Program of Northern California. I'm wondering, did they submit their audits?
We haven't asked them to submit it yet because we were waiting for this meeting. What they indicated was that they already had a draft audit. They just didn't have a board meeting prior to June 15th in order to finalize it. So I anticipate that if they're given the extension that they would be able to submit it now. We haven't asked them to follow up yet. We told them to just provide their explanation and anticipated date when it would be ready. So.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Because I'd like to move this to a vote on that specific recommendation, and then we can double back if there are any more general comments on the process. So are there any other comments on the specific recommendation to give an extension on the audits?
This is Bob Plantle, and I need to recuse myself on any vote regarding Bay Area legal aid.
Okay, did we get that, Erica?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the staff's recommendation?
I have just one comment before
go ahead.
the motion. Well, I guess one is more general and just a question in terms of getting additional training around SMART and SIMPLE. But then the other one is one of the organizations that's on here for the extension request, Asian Americans Advancing Justice, has been having a fairly public issue in terms of the organization. While we don't know yet what their audit says, I do wonder whether there will be something in there that will require some additional thought and attention from staff. And so I think that as you're thinking about the organizations on here that may have additional work, and with the hope that it won't, I do wonder whether that one will be one that will come up as needing some additional review.
Just to respond really quickly, even though the programs haven't, these programs haven't submitted a final audit or a review, what we ask them though is to still complete their application in its entirety, because presumably the audit and the financial review should just confirm already what's on their books, and so we can still move forward with the review, at least at a high level, and then reconfirm it once the audit comes back. And for that particular program, Asian Americans Advancing Justice, they are a priority program for us to do initial kind of swoop first. So we can report back some preliminary while we wait for the audit to see if there's some significant findings in them.
Thank you.
Any further comments, questions? Well, I move that we approve the staff's recommendation to permit audits to be submitted up to and including August 1st.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Eric. We were also going to talk about community lawyers, and they actually did wind up, they were not part of the original extension request, but they have submitted an extension request now. We mentioned that they had submitted something that was not what we didn't view to be an appropriate financial review, and since we followed up with them, they have submitted an extension request. I don't know if the committee would like to make a separate motion on that one, or if they want to include community.
Can we just include them in this list of the others that would be permitted to have until August 1st to submit a review or an audit?
Yes. You're muted, one.
Shall we talk about them a little bit first then before you actually make that determination?
If you think there's anything we need to say, go ahead.
Yeah, because they're a little bit of in a special category. Go ahead, Erica.
So Community Lawyers, Inc. is a new applicant. They submitted some documentation that didn't appear to be reviewed by an independent CPA, and we followed up with them to inquire about whether that was actually their financial review or if they were in the process of getting that done. And we received a response from them yesterday indicating that they would like an extension up through July 15th in order to submit their financial review. So they said that COVID had been impacting their operations and that they were in the process of trying to get this complete. So that's why we are recommending as new applicant that they be granted that extension.
But there is a little bit of a wrinkle with this the situation in that so what they submitted doesn't appear to be a financial statement. It also doesn't appear to be conducted by an independent CPA. The state bar rules require that the financial audit has to be conducted by a CPA, an independent CPA. However, it's a little bit silent on whether the review has to be conducted by an independent CPA. It just says that the state bar, shall determine whether it's acceptable. Our guidelines do, though, say that the financial state review has to be conducted by an independent CPA. So the office practice has been to say to programs that, if you can submit a financial review in lieu of an audit, that financial review still has to be conducted by an independent CPA. So the Rules Committee is currently dealing with this issue, and there will be a proposal that will be presented to the Board of Trustees to kind of bring in line what the guidelines say in the state bar rules. But we do want to note for you that that change hasn't been happened. So there's a little bit of a wrinkle there in that the state bar rule isn't crystal clear on this. However, we with your authority, we would like to tell the program again explicitly that they need to conduct a financial review by an independent CPA by August 1st. And the other wrinkle I should mention is that with law school clinics, we've been told that with the law school clinic, they haven't been able to get a financial review or an audit separately from the law school itself. So in those instances, we've let law school clinics submit either a university audit or a law school audit, and then they attach a financial review or an audit for that particular clinic. There have been instances where that hasn't been conducted by an independent CPA. In more recent years, it has, but we do want to point out that kind of anomaly for you in that it's a little bit sticky right there.
Okay, well, as I understand it, the recommendation before us is to permit 14 organizations, maybe now 15, to have until August 1 to submit an audit or review. Is that right? Is that what's before us?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I would move that we approve that recommendation.
I'll second.
I just have a quick question. So in light of what was just shared, this motion that we're making is for the approval of the extension with the additional guidance or underscoring our policies for this last one, the 15th.
Well, that
program?
wasn't the motion. If we need to amend it to include that guidance, I guess we could.
I would do two separate motions if
Yeah.
But it sounds like,
make a
yeah,
recommendation.
that's what it sounds like. Okay.
So the motion then is just to provide an extension till August 1 for 15 organizations to provide an audit or review as appropriate.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, that was Corey.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Iskin,
Yes.
Cloggy,
Yes.
Bales Fightmaster,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Connolly,
Yes.
DeBose,
Yes.
Delfino,
Yes.
Friedman,
Yes.
Mann,
Yes.
Meeker,
Yes.
Myers, Planhold,
Yes.
and Savage. The motion passes.
Okay, now I think you were requesting that the committee also formally vote to instruct or to guide or to approve the staff's giving a directive to that one organization that they have to provide a CPA reviewed either audit or review. Is that the request from staff?
That's correct. That's correct. And we also failed to mention, but it's in the memo that this program applied last year for funding. And one of the reasons why they were found ineligible is they did not submit to us a financial review from an independent CPA. So we definitely want it on the record because if it comes back as an eligibility review conference, that everything is done on the record.
Okay, I would so move.
Second. Bob Plantel, second.
Thank you. Iskin,
Yes.
Cloggy,
Yes.
Bales Fightmaster,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Connolly,
Yes.
DeBose,
Yes.
Delfino,
Yes.
Friedman,
Yes.
Mann,
Yes.
Meeker,
Yes.
Myers, Planhold,
Yes.
and Savage. The motion passes.
Okay, thank you. So Erica, was there any further discussion on items 4C or 4D on the agenda?
No.
I guess I would say that also echo Bonifay's thanks to both of you for putting together the PowerPoint. There were an awful lot of dates there that were explained to us. And among other things, obviously we're going to need some more meetings. I guess I would suggest to Dwan or Erica or whoever is responsible for scheduling meetings that maybe we get something on the calendar soon for late July, early August.
I have some suggested dates. I don't know if we want to do it now or you rather us.
I think we should I think you should do a doodle poll.
Just do a doodle. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But let's get that on the calendar. I feel like we should do a pop quiz on the dates, but we won't.
Eric, really quick, I'm sorry. Kim Savage is trying to get back into the meeting.
Yeah.
Looks like she's in, I think.
She's not appearing, she's saying, on the screen again.
Oh,
I don't know.
Okay. It looks like I'm back in now.
Okay, great.
okay.
I've actually been listening and voted yes on the last two motions.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Great. Thank you. Even more approval.
Right.
Does anybody have any further comments on any of the agenda items or anything else that's relevant to what we're doing?
I do. I just think that the grantees, again, should be as prepared as possible, giving the heavy lifting and the work that staff already does and constant reminders to them. So if they could begin the process on time and just be mindful of the fact of all the work that they have to do. And so I just think that the timeliness should be really stressed.
Mm-hmm.
And Pamela, just to respond to that quickly, we have contemplated, and maybe again this should be dealt with in codification, that at some point there should be a little bit more of a penalty for late submissions. We wouldn't want to do it during the pandemic or anything extraordinary circumstances like this, but it has been an issue in this office of receiving things timely.
I'd like to say something to what just Pamela brought up. I agree with you. I think this is an extraordinary time, obviously. And so because of that, we have, not only in this subcommittee, but in other subcommittees and the commission as a whole, have taken the stance I think I would say pretty much collectively, that we are going to be flexible with the programs because of the day. But with that, I would hope that the programs could hear this message as well, is that we are taking on this additional burden, staff-wise, commission-wise, and all the commission members here also have a day job unless they're being furloughed. But they're also taking on more in order to be able to meet the program's needs right now, because the constituency is so important, the people that they're serving are so important to us, that they also roll up their sleeves and come in and support in terms of meeting those deadlines, getting the requests handled and answered in time, so that there isn't this additional burden on the staff. So I'd like to underscore what you were speaking to, Pamela. It really is going to take all of us working together to get through this, and that includes the programs as well.
But if I just may add, there were 3 programs that were late, and we said, okay, we'll let them be late. I mean, so it sounds like a contradiction.
Well, yeah, I mean, perhaps we weren't being entirely consistent, but
yeah, I mean, it's easy to say that, but then when 3 programs were late, and I think someone said 29 minutes is not that bad, and 30 minutes is not that bad. But then we just come back and say, well, we'll take this into consideration that the staff has to do this, so the agencies have to hold their own. But then we say, it's okay, you don't have to hold your own.
Herman, it's very fair. I was the one who said 29 minutes is not egregious. And I still believe that 29 minutes is not egregious. The issue that we were just talking about, just this last one, the 15th program, I feel that, given that the staff have already spoken with them, sent them communication regarding the audit and what a true financial document looks like, and that this is the second time, I think this is that starts to rise to a different issue in my mind. Rather than 29 minutes. I don't think that's as, if we start to balance these issues, as bad. But going forward, what I'm hoping from the message that Pamela brought, and I'm kind of speaking to, and as are you, Herman, is that we hope that the programs here, that we are working with them to ease their pain through this process, and we hope that they will work with us and the staff so that we can we don't have to push the burden in one direction solely, and we could be carrying it together.
I have no problem with it. I just want us to be consistent. That's all.
I just want to, can you guys hear me?
yes.
Okay. So this has been an issue over the years. What's too late, what's forgivable, what's unforgivable. And I think that it is really difficult for everybody involved when people turn things in late. But I think if we just kind of keep our eye in the big picture, which is there are so many programs and there are just a few that are late, some consistently late. One that Erica and I will be talking to in July that is consistently late. And even though the spotlight is on seniors, they were still late this year. But I think overall, it's a very small number that are late, which raises two things. It takes up a ridiculous amount of time for the very handful that are late, and yet we still want to fund the programs. So I think they need I agree, they need a strong message that right now with all the heavy lifting, they need to do their part in lifting. So that's the only thing, is just the perspective that there's a whole lot of programs. It's a small handful that take a bunch of extra time.
Can I make one more comment?
Sure.
And I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all kind of decision-making process, because some of these organizations are much better staffed and funded and bigger overall, and some of them are on a shoestring. And I think having some kind of general policy, but then I think we need to keep the discretion, to kind of analyze each of them as they come across, if they are late. Because our purpose hopefully is to try to approve them and work with them without overtaxing the staff.
But then my response to that within the deadline doesn't really mean what we're saying to the general public that it means.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the deadline's a deadline, but it can't be an absolutely hard deadline. And there are people who will abuse it, and we'll deal with that. And there will be people who have good reasons, and we need to be, flexible. So I believe.
Well, Herman, I guarantee you that this issue of forgiveness and leniency and how much we forgive and how much we don't forgive, we'll have plenty of chance to be talking about that in the coming months. So don't worry, you'll get your chance. All right, can we adjourn and give people a chance to break and, prepare for the next meeting? Is that okay? Any other comments?
Move to adjourn.
All right, let's do it.
I'll
Thank you,
second that.
everybody.
See you all later.
Okay.